Hello again, everybody.
Bullshit.
Welcome. Okay.
Fucking bullshit!
We should just play that the entire time. We'll just play that over and over for the whole thing. Anyway, we're back here on Wrestling with Power. Welcome back, everybody. Slick Vic is over there, and Mr. Mosley, yours truly, is right here. The dude is back here, sitting next to my championship title belt. And we're all here. We're having a great time.
You know, that belt really ties the room together.
I know. Be ashamed if somebody pissed on it. Did I micturate on your rug? No, Woo peed on my rug, man. Every time a rug is pissed on in this county, I have to compensate for it.
You got any?
But yeah,
I don't know what this has to do with me, but you got any Kahlua?
Oh man, I actually started to watch that the other night, and I laughed my ass off because I never. There's things that you notice in these movies when you watch them back again.
Yes.
And like, he's going through the supermarket in the beginning. He's getting his thing a half and half. And he writes a check for 95 cents to pay for the half and half. And then when he gets home, the guys jump him and like rush him into the bathroom and shove his head in the toilet. And when they do that, you just see his half and half go exploding all over the bathroom. And for some reason, that just got me. Seeing his half and half go everywhere.
Doesn't he say something like, it's in there, let me get another look, and they dunk his head back in there?
Yeah, they dunk him 3 or 4 times, and they keep going, where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money? And he's like, it's down there somewhere, let me take another look.
This aggression will not stand, man.
He pulls out the golf ball, he's like, what the fuck is this? Obviously, you're not a golfer. And he just drops it on the floor and it cracks. Oh, man. Great film. Great film. Big Lebowski, everybody. Go out and watch it. Buy it. Give them your money. Don't give your money to TKO. Give your money to the dude. He needs it. A lot worse.
The dude abides. Anyways, how you doing today, Mr. Mosley?
Oh, well, I'm doing okay. I'm doing much better than I was last week. When we were actually in the midst of recording the episode, my youngest got sick. And like I said, the last week's episode, if you guys listened to it, we said it was snake bit and that you weren't going to realize it. I've already listened to the episode back. You really cannot tell that anything was wrong because I cut and pasted so much stuff out of it. But like, yeah, he got sick on Tuesday. And then by Thursday, all of the rest of my kids were sick. So by Friday, everybody was going to the doctor, and I was sick as well. So this whole weekend was basically recovery mode, and not from a good time, from a very bad time, from pretty much sleeping and feeling miserable. So I'm doing a lot better today, Slick Vic. How are you doing?
Well, first, I'm happy to hear that you and your family are on the mend or are already well. That's good to hear. But I'm doing quite well myself. I had some issues at home with the some plumbing, but it's been addressed, thank God. But it's not cool when you wake. It's not cool when you wake up and there's like water coming out of the floor. And it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on here?
Coming out of the floor?
Well, I should say, there was, I'm in the basement and I'm walking around checking it out, and I'm like, all of a sudden I hear tricklets of water coming. I'm like, where's that coming from? What the hell's going on? What do I do? What do? So, but it's all been addressed, thank God.
All right, sweet. Yeah, that could have been a nasty problem if left unchecked.
But I will say, there's a lot of home improvement projects in the pipeline at the Slick household. So, yeah, taking care of, leveling up some of the stuff here.
Sweet, man. Glad to hear it. I'm thinking about leveling up into a completely new house eventually, because my house is very small. I could add on don't really feel like it. I'd rather just, we'll go get another one sometime. Eventually.
Come to Chicago.
Oh, I would. Well, I wouldn't go to Chicago, but I would go, somewhere in the vicinity.
Yeah.
For sure. I would love to live there. That'd be great.
You ever thought of big city life versus countryside?
I couldn't do it. I'm not really like a big country type person. Like, I'm not the type of dude that likes to go out in the hills and spend time in the hills. I don't like camping that much. I'm just not into that. But living in, it's so much more peaceful, so much quieter.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can explain it. It's away from, like I said, I would definitely live up there, but I would not live any closer than a half an hour from the city. There's no way. I would live 45 minutes to an hour from the city, maybe, would be fine.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm at too. I'm about 30 minutes away from the city, and I don't want to move any closer. So I'm good where I'm at.
It's too busy. There's too much going on. There's no rest. And I don't know. Yeah. I can't handle it. I just wasn't raised that way. So, but I do love it up there. It's very nice. Would move if I could. And actually, my job's main headquarters is up there somewhere. So that would be cool if I could also keep my current employer, but who knows?
Well, maybe one day you'll get yourself a promotion up in headquarters, and you'll be forced to move up here.
You know what I want to do? I want to drive a WWE truck.
Oh, okay.
But then I'd be on the road all the time.
Yeah, you'd be an over the road guy all the time. You'd be like Ray from Trailer Park Boys before you got popped.
Yeah. Be pissing in jugs and
picking up friends of the road,
picking up ladies of the evening,
do some greasy shit.
He's like, I had a few drinks. Next thing you know, I'm crashing through the post office. It wasn't my fault. Shit happens.
All right. Well, why don't I break us in with a little bit of not breaking news. This is now like almost a week old now, but I have some news, Mr. Mosley. Would you like to hear the news? Do you have any jingle noise for the news?
I can, but you know what? That jingle is very happy, and I don't know if our news is very happy, but whatever. This is Wrestling with Power, so we'll play it anyway. This is some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, on this Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026. I don't know if I properly said the date, but here we are with some breaking news that Slick Vic is going to be bringing us today. You know what? This does kind of sound like a CNN type jingle, though, so maybe it is appropriate. All right, Slick Vic, take it away.
So we have a rather unfortunate news to cover today. It's not today. It happened. I don't have the exact date, unfortunately, but Ted Turner has passed. Ted Turner, for some of our younger fans, was in charge of WCW. It was like, he was the owner, I guess you can say. I don't know the exact timeline. I know like at one point WCW or the NWA or whatever, whichever territory that was run by Jim Crockett. Crockett sold to Turner, I believe. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong with the timeline.
No, I think you're on the right. I think you're on the right path. I think Crockett was over sort of like Georgia and Alabama type of area, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. So it was in Atlanta, and then Turner bought into it.
So Turner saved WCW, saved that territory because he was a big fan and he had very deep pockets. And this man was told by his other people in his chair and in the boardrooms, so to speak, to get rid of wrestling. But Ted said, no, He wants to keep his wrestling, and he kept it alive, despite the fact that WCW in the early 90s was bleeding a lot of money. And then eventually, I don't know if it was Turner's choice or what, but Bischoff came in charge, and he helped turn things around. Next thing you know, the NWO is born, and WCW in the mid to late 90s was the hottest pro wrestling company in the entire world. And Vince McMahon always considered Ted like his big nemesis. Like, you remember those billionaire Ted skits?
Yeah,
that was the first time Vince, like, they say Vince never sold for anybody, but he sold for Ted Turner. You know, he sold for Ted Turner. He was mad. He would take out, you know, like pages in, was it the New York Times maybe? And just to slander Ted, say some negative things about him, like, oh, woe is me. Even though Vince himself was doing a lot of the same tactics himself in the early 80s to scoop up a bunch of wrestlers from other territories.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on. So Ted Turner has just passed, and they even honored him at the beginning of SmackDown with a graphic. I really wonder if Vince was still in charge, would that graphic still been up?
I think so. I like to think so, because I think that, you know, and like you mentioned, he was over at WCW. He was directly against Vince. I mean, he was, you know, there's a famous promo, I don't know if you call it a promo, of Ted Turner saying, you know, we're going to go head to head with him. I want to go head to head. I want to compete. You know, like you said, Ted had a lot of money, so he had money to play with. If this fails, oh well, you know, whatever. But he loved his wrestling, and McMahon back in the day really did not like Ted Turner. He was very against him. But like now, I think he would look back on it and sort of, he has to look back on it and appreciate it for what it was. Especially considering he came out the victor there. The Attitude Era would have never happened. And what if they didn't have competition? The WWF wasn't doing so hot in the 90s. Not even when WCW was kicking their ass for a year and a half. Right? I think even before that, WWF wasn't doing so hot.
No, that was like, say, if you go back to like 95, that's when, you know, Diesel was champion. They say he was the lowest drawing champion ever. Even the year after that, Shawn Michaels was not as good either in terms of drawing power. I mean, in the ring, he was fantastic, no doubt about it. But, you know, the bottom line is what really matters sometimes, or is what pretty much is what matters the most.
Yeah.
And
so who's to say what would have even came of WWF had Ted Turner not been around, had WCW not become what it was and all that. So I like to think Vince would have appreciated that.
Yeah. And just to say that wrestling is only a small chunk of like Ted Turner's entire influence or history, because the man created CNN. He created the Superstation with the TBS, TNT, it's the Cartoon Network. So this man was very influential and powerful in the TV marketing world. Wrestling is only a small chunk of it.
And of course, you and I, growing up in the 90s, I don't know about you. Well, I was more of a Nickelodeon fan growing up, but I was definitely into some Cartoon Network as well growing up. And I loved so many different shows. I can remember specifically, though, like just loving all the old school, like Tom and Jerry. You know, which it was probably 20 years older than what it was when I was watching it even as a kid. But like, I thought that was so cool how we had access to all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never got old. Got old.
Good shit. So R.I.P. Ted Turner from us at Wrestling with Power.
Enough can't be said about the guy. R.I.P. Legend. Absolute legend.
In other news, Chelsea Green has undergone what they're calling a heart procedure after doing a little bit of digging, we found out that she had SVT, which I'm not going to try to pronounce right now, but supraventricular tachycardia, I believe is the correct term. Basically, heart condition that's, characterized by rapid, sudden heart racing. So she had some procedure. I don't know if they're avoiding the term surgery. But she is on the mend. She has still been present in the TV shows with like video messages and whatnot. But all the best to Chelsea. Hope she has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of a serious thing when you start talking about the heart. Makes you wonder how that's going to impact her career going forward. So
Right.
hopefully it's not very serious, and hopefully, she comes out on the better end of it.
Whenever they say a heart procedure, I don't know if you remember when Triple H had that, they called it a cardiac event.
Yeah.
They're using a lot of like medical terms to try to get around sounding super serious or not. But
yeah,
I believe Triple H had like fluid in his lungs or something. I don't remember, fluid in his heart. I can't remember the exact details, but they wouldn't say, they just kept it vague with the whole cardiac event. Yeah.
Well, I think they don't want to freak people out. You know what I'm saying? And I think they want to downplay it themselves too. It's sort of like not wanting to admit you're sick. That's the way I think of it. That's how when I talked about that I was sick over the weekend, my kids got sick. I don't get sick very often. So Friday, when I started feeling a little weird in the morning, I was like, my first thought was, oh man, I'm getting sick. But I didn't want to admit it. I didn't say it out loud. And then about 3 hours after, I work for a little while, finally I make the call to the boss man. I'm like, look, I'm done. I've worked what I'm working for the day. I'm done. I'm going home. And that was it. I finally had to admit it. Because it feels like if you admit it, then it's downhill from there. That makes it real.
Right. All right. Well, that is all I got on the news, unless you have something else to cover. Otherwise, we can move right on to SmackDown.
I don't think I have any breaking news, Slick Vic, but thank you so much for that breaking news. Very breaking, actually. Yeah, I think that, like you said, with the Ted Turner deal, it just happened within the past few days. So, I mean, that is fairly recent and big deal. Very big deal. So, RIP Ted Turner. And hope Chelsea Green gets better soon, and we see her back in the ring and doing what she loves to do. She's got a big home to build. We saw that on Unreal Season 2, so she's got to build that home. She's got to make that money. She's got a family. That girl's got a family. Let's move on to some SmackDown, I guess, Slick Vic.
All right, so SmackDown coming at you March 8th in Jacksonville, Florida. Isn't that AEW country? I could be wrong.
Yeah, it is.
We get a in memory of Ted Turner graph. We just talked about this, and I wrote it down too. Like, I wonder if Vince would have done this if he was still in charge. Anyways, Jacob Fatu comes out, and we get a Fatu chant. And he says tomorrow he's not fighting, he's taken the title from Roman. Compares his career to Roman, saying that when Roman was born it was with opportunity, but when Jacob was born, it was with doubt. The Usos come out. Jimmy says apart from him rooting for him, the other part of him is looking out for him. Jay is more blunt and says tomorrow the tribal chief is going to beat that ass and break him down in front of his family, and they'll have to acknowledge the OTC. And then Jacob reminds Jay that he's never beat Roman, and he tells Jimmy that he ain't acknowledging nothing. And this is for his family. And I'm like, ain't acknowledging nothing. Is that a double negative? Like, doesn't that mean so he is, going to acknowledge? Never mind.
Yeah, you don't think about it too much.
So Jacob's ready to die for everything because he's all gas, no brakes, and if the Usos attempt to interfere, he's going to burn the whole. They bleeped it out. Family tree down. I thought this was good. I thought all three men here did a good job. Jacob's got what the kids call aura, I guess you can say. I kind of wish it wasn't all about I'm doing this for my family shtick.
Yeah,
because Jacob to me should just come off as a killer. and not somebody who's just fighting for his family.
Yeah.
But still good stuff. So anyways, backstage, Nick Aldis says what Gunther did last week was wrong, but then Ricky Saints interrupts and says last week he faced QB1 and now he's facing QB4. That was a good line. I'll give him that. Which leads to Matt Cardona coming out and saying he's not here to pass the torch, but light a new one for himself. Good line. Good line there, too, by Matt. So good stuff there. And then Jacob Fatu runs into Royce Keys backstage, who hypes him up. Royce says failure is not an option, and werewolf your ass up. Jacob leaves, and in comes Solo, who tells Royce he needs an answer soon whether or not he's going to join the family. All right. Let's put a pause right there. We got opening segments galore. A lot of opening segments to start the show, man. Any thoughts?
I think they're doing the best they can with this Roman versus Jacob thing. They've really super rushed this when they could have gotten a lot more mileage out of it. And knowing what we know now at this current point in time, they still may get some more mileage out of it. But it just seems really rushed. But I think they've done okay with what little time they've been building this. Yeah. And as far as the segment goes, I mean, that's just, I'll echo what you said. I think Jacob should just be a killer. I don't particularly care for the whole, my family needs this, it's just, he seems desperate. And he is desperate. He's admittedly desperate. And I don't like that angle. With the Matt Cardona thing, I'm still a fan of Matt Cardona. I'm happy that he's still being featured regularly. I think that he needs pushed. We'll see what happens. And what else did we have? Oh, Solo and Royce Keys. Stupid. Well, okay, my family tree is because they're actually family, right? They're actually sort of related. How does Royce Keys fit into that?
They just go way back, I guess, because we know that about Jacob and Royce. But yeah, I don't think he's joining the MFT.
I don't think he is either. And
not after they're airing all these vignettes about him, coming from a rough neighborhood and overcoming so much adversity that he's just going to join the heels.
I feel like this is a lame way to set up a feud with Royce Keys and Solo, or Royce Keys and Tala, or something like that. They could just find a different way to go about this. I don't like that they're trying to build a story around this. Doesn't make sense.
Okay. Moving right along. We get Tiffany Stratton defending the women's U.S. title against Kiana James. We also find out that Chelsea is bedridden, but wishes Tiffy good luck. This is where we talked about it at the top of the show with Chelsea's medical issues right now. So Kiana works the leg, but Tiffy still hits all her trademark gymnastic-style offense. Kiana does well and even hits an impressive Death Valley driver. We haven't seen one of those in a while. Kiana gets a roll-up, but the ref is distracted by Julia. Tiffy hits the PME for the win. So Kiana continues to impress, but this was nothing big. The big breakup between Julia and Kiana is kind of the main storyline here, and it's coming. So everyone backstage is mourning the gingerbread man.
God.
R-Truth gives his condolences to Sami Zayn, which was actually kind of funny. I'll give it that. He's like, I can see the family resemblance. So I can't see. Even you got a little laugh out of that one.
Yeah, that was good.
It's Sammy, I swear to God, was holding in his laughter there too. All right, so then Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss are ready for their match against Fatal Influence, but Rhea and Charlotte don't like each other, and Alexa tries to play peacemaker. Damian Priest tells R-Truth to stay back for his match against Tala Tonga, and that leads us right to the match. We got Tala Tonga versus Damian Priest. I think this is the first time we see Tala get like his own entrance with Pyro, like a solo entrance. I don't mean like solo Sikoa. I mean like just a solo entrance. And Tala is so damn tall. It's rare seeing Priest in the ring with someone who's more imposing than him, because Priest is a big dude himself. Priest tries spin kicks, but Tala catches him and rams him into the turnbuckle and slams him across the announce desk, which again is something you don't see often happen to Priest. Damian eventually gets some big spin kicks and an ear clap. He boots Solo for good measure. Then Tama Tonga shows up for distraction, causing Damien to eat a discus lariat. R-Truth comes out to aid Damien, but nonetheless, Tala hits a chokeslam on Damien for the win. Post-match, it looks like the MFTs are going to beat up the faces, but Royce Keys comes out to scare them off. No touching there, just scaring them off. I thought this was a decent big man match. As I said earlier, that it's so rare to see Priest sell for a bigger opponent, which was probably fun for him. It's a rare sighting for us. And I think Tala, with some more seasoning, could be an interesting player. And then you factor in Royce Keys, and, well, we'll see where this goes. Mr. Mosley, thoughts on Tiffany and Kiana and Tala and Damien?
Man, I mean, I couldn't really add a whole lot to the match between Kiana and Tiffany Stratton that you didn't say. I mean, same thing. Kiana continues to impress. You knew pretty much how it was going to go. I don't know. I was just kind of coasting during that one, man. To be honest with you, and I'll go ahead and tell you right off the bat, I did not enjoy this episode of SmackDown altogether. I thought it was very hard to get through. A big part of it was the commercials. They were really, really, really bad for some reason, I noticed, but it was just sort of coasting along. So, yeah, it was just okay. As far as Tala, man, I don't know. I'm still not sold on Tala yet. I don't really even care at this point about Damian Priest. So, yeah, it was something to see somebody so much bigger, imposing to Damian Priest, is big dude. And so you get that out of it. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just sort of, you know what? I'm blaming it on the morale being down because they fired 2 of the MFTs. They fired all these people. They're releasing all these people. I just feel like the vibe is down right now. And again, I'm not sold on Tala. I'm more sold on Tama than any of them. But it was okay. It was okay.
Okay.
With the Sans commercials, the commercials fucking ruined the entire fucking thing, dude.
It's a pain, man.
They're really bad. They're really bad at this point.
I 100% agree. I cannot watch this live because I don't want to sit through all this shit. I want to be able to have a remote in my hands I can skip through.
See, that's the problem, is that when I watch this and Raw and anything, I always watch it live. And it's like, you'll get 2 minutes of something and then commercial. There'll be 2 commercial breaks during a single match.
Yeah.
Even my 11-year-old the other day, he's like, why are there so many commercials? You can't even watch the match. There's too many commercials. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so bad. It really killed it for me, man. I had a hard time focusing. I even messaged you, remember? I messaged you and I'm like, is this not the worst episode of SmackDown ever? Like,
the commercials make it so egregious, man. Like it gives you so much time. And this is not a good thing. I'm not saying this is great, but it gives you enough time to go take a dump, go out and grab some new food, and come back, eat it, and then you'll get the next match.
Commercials, yeah. And it used to be like, okay, I've got 120 seconds to go and piss really quick and grab a drink, and then I got to get back, and I can't miss anything. But now it's like, it'll even come up, and on Netflix, it's like add 1 of 10 or whatever, and it's like, wow, okay, I got a while. I'm gonna go take a shower. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. So backstage, Danhausen has a sign-up sheet for a tag team partner, but The Miz and Kit Wilson interrupt and taunt him, saying the only person Danhausen can partner up with is Danhausen. Danhausen says that's a great idea, and he storms off. Nick Aldis and Paul Heyman, they hand Gunther a contract, and Nick Aldis welcomes him to Friday Night SmackDown. Gunther starts talking, but he's interrupted by Cody's entrance on the TV, which I thought was freaking hilarious. He's like, what? This, I don't know. I thought it was fucking funny. Like he's mad that Cody's theme plays on the TV while he's getting his little contract signing. And then, so Cody's in the ring. He's over. He's really over in Jacksonville. He calls out Gunther, but Paul Heyman comes out. Heyman owes Gunther a favor, and here's the favor, which is a title shot against Cody at Clash in Italy, which prompts the crowd to chant USA. Gunther jumps Cody with a sleeper, but Cody fights out, and Cody says he's easy to find, but hard to beat. All right, backstage, Tama Tonga doesn't want Royce Keys in the MFT. Solo disagrees. And then we got Matt Cardona versus Ricky Saints. I got very little notes for this. This is a nothing burger. It's all about building Ricky, who keeps doing stupid poses. Ricky hasn't won me over once, so we'll see. A fan gets ejected from the arena during this match, which completely takes over the crowd's attention, and they start chanting they start doing the whole na 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 song. But Ricky goes over with the Rochambeau, and I'm like, Rochambeau? Has anybody seen South Park? Isn't Rochambeau something else? Anyways, thoughts on Danhausen, Gunther, Cody, and Matt Cardona and Ricky Saints?
When the Danhausen thing happened, I knew what was coming. Maybe I didn't know exactly what was coming, but I'm like, okay, he's going to partner with himself. He'll just have another guy come out, a la Doink the Clown at WrestleMania 9. There's going to be another Danhausen. So that was my thoughts on that. What was the segment after that again?
Gunther signing with SmackDown.
Gunther with the and seeing Cody Rhodes. All right, this was completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Again, here we go with making some story up that just doesn't make sense to get to a point that they could have gotten to some other way. The favor, all right, first of all, how does Paul Heyman have the power to grant a world title match to anyone? A, he's just a manager. All right. 2, if he does have that power, why would he not give that power to everyone in the Vision instead of Gunther? I think that the favor was initially going to be a match against Brock Lesnar. And Brock decided that he was going to go ahead and call it at WrestleMania. And that threw a wrench in the plans. So now this is what they're coming up with. Paul Heyman is going to somehow get Gunther a championship title shot. Makes no sense. And then what am I missing, Slick Vic?
Matt Cardona and Ricky Saints.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip.
Very, very solid. I'm serious though. Very solid analysis on the Paul Heyman stuff. Good analysis there.
It makes it makes no sense. What are they doing?
I fully think that I actually agree with you. I think they were going to do Gunther and Brock Lesnar at some point, but Brock said, "Nah, I'm done." So they kind of had to pivot. So we'll see. All right, so we got more funeral for the gingerbread man, and Sammy's trying to get Johnny Gargano to see things his way, but Johnny's still laying down as usual. Candice and Ray Phoenix show up, and they try to calm Sammy down. So Brie, Bella, and Paige walk backstage, and Danhausen runs past them, and they wonder what happened. Blake Monroe is coming to SmackDown. And then Paige and Brie come out and talk trash about the irresistible forces, easy for me to say, saying this is not a nostalgia run. But then Fatal Influence comes out, and they want a piece of the tag titles as well. The irresistible forces come out and say this ain't NXT, and the crowd starts chanting, "Whoop that trick." A fight breaks out, and then we later find out that Nia Jax actually busted Paige open when she decked her with the mic. I don't know if you have heard. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures of that either, but yeah, Paige got a little hard way to that day.
I did.
All right,
yeah,
and then
I've seen the after effects.
And then we got a match. We got Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss versus the 3 members of Fatal Influence. So we got lots of hand waving to start the match, a little dance, hand dancing, whatever it's called. So it's funny. Despite Charlotte Flair being in this match, this felt more about Rhea Ripley as she was a house of fire to start this match, and she just, completely obliterates all 3 members of Fatal Influence. And then later sells and she tags in Charlotte. Charlotte does get some of her shit in too. And then there's poor Alexa, who's there to take the fall when JC hits the rolling encore for the win. Post-match, Jade Cargill shows up with Michin and B-Fab, and they take out the babyfaces. Decent match. All right. I like the attention that Fatal Influence are getting. JC continues to impress, and I predict, here's a bold prediction. You know, by the end of, at some point this year, I think all 3 members of Fatal Influences will have belts. All right, Mr. Mosley.
Okay.
Any thoughts on the Gingerbread Man, on Bree and Paige, and this 6-women tag match?
Not many. I like the Gingerbread Man thing. Do what?
I was going to say, I mean, what does Iron Sheik think about this whole Gingerbread Man thing?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking bullshit!
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I liked whenever Sammy was dressed up as the Gingerbread Man. I like when Sammy was dressed up as the Gingerbread Man and he hits the haluva kick and he's hiding in the costume. That was good. That's where it should have ended. They're taking this way too far. The funeral for the Gingerbread Man, all that crap, just garbage. Just, it's bad. And the women's tag, I love Paige, but I don't know what they're doing with her here. I think it's sort of just coasting. I wasn't really that interested. I'm just not. They've not sold me on caring about anything that's going on there right now.
Okay. All right. So we have backstage. Royce Keys bumps into the Usos, who tells them to stay in his lane. And then we have another match. We've got Tama Tonga versus Royce Keys. So Royce takes control with some clubbing blows, but Tama chops him down. Royce hits the world's strongest slam from outside the ring to the apron. Tama comes back with a rolling neck breaker, but Royce comes back with a power slam. And then Royce starts hulking up and eventually hits the ultimate spine buster, or the USB, as I think they're calling it, for the win. I got a couple USBs laying around here that I plug into my computer from time to time, but the ultimate spine buster.
Couple dongles laying around.
Yeah, some dongles here and there. All right. All I wrote was meh. That's all I got. Will he join the MFT? I don't think he will, and they're just going to just drag that out, I guess, for a couple more weeks. And then Danhausen is in the back with a makeshift laboratory and starts mixing chemicals to make a clone of himself. Danhausen's fun. I'm not hating on that whatsoever. I get a little chuckle watching him do his thing. And then Shinsuke Nakamura is still here. I totally forgot about Shinsuke. He comes in and starts taunting Tama Tonga again. They did that for a while. Then I swear to God, there was like a long break, and then now he's back. So I don't know where they're going with this. Tama, is this a slow babyface turn for Tama, I guess? And then, anyways, the main event. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I don't have any notes for the main event, which is the whole funeral segment for the Gingerbread Man. So, unless you've got something to add with Tama Tonga, Royce Keys, Danhausen, Shinsuke, or the funeral for the Gingerbread Man, we'll move on.
No. It was all pretty much garbage. That is the worst main event, and like I said, I think I can safely say at this point, this was probably the worst episode altogether of SmackDown that I've seen in a very long time. I did not enjoy it. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I was happy to see Shinsuke as well. I was happy to see Shinsuke back. I love that he's having this thing. I liked when they were doing it originally, the thing where he's talking to Tama in the back. Thought it was great. And I think that it's odd that they sort of broke away from it, but I'm glad they're going back to it. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones there and say, all right, we'll just ignore the fact that you paused on that for like 2 months or whatever. Because I'm here for it. I like Shinsuke. I like Tama. Sure, let's see where it goes.
Okay. Did you watch the funeral segment? Because I didn't. I was done.
I did not watch it live. I ended my watch of SmackDown probably 30 minutes prior to that even happening, and then I went back and watched highlights. Garbage.
Was it good?
Though. It's garbage. I didn't miss anything.
You heard it right here, boy. It was garbage. Avoid. Well, that's how they ended SmackDown. They started with a memorial to Ted Turner, and they had a funeral for a gingerbread man.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Well, I can at least say this. With Backlash from May 9th, 2026 in Tampa, Florida, every match, I think, in my opinion, ranged from good to great. In my opinion. That remains to be seen with you. We'll start with, I will start here with Seth freaking Rollins versus Braun Breaker. So Seth starts off fast and furious with offense. They spend a lot of time fighting outside. Cole says that even the referee has been giving them a lot of leeway. Braun comes back with a belly-to-belly over the top rope, and he starts his offense, and he has a pair of German suplexes that remind me of Brock Lesnar. Even Paul Heyman is kind of out there doing his shtick. And then Braun talks a lot of trash while beating on Seth, hits the 23 miles per hour clothesline. That's what I'm calling it, I guess. And goes for the Frankensteiner, but doesn't quite hit all of it, as Wade Barrett even acknowledges. Braun goes for that run around the ring clothesline, but gets super kicked by Seth, but he doesn't get all of that either. But still was a pretty damn good spot. Braun hits the clothesline over the top. Braun hits that clothesline over the table spot. Rollins hits the top rope suplex, but then Braun Breaker is the one that hits the Falcon Arrow instead. I thought that looked really good. Yeah. Then he even hits a smoother Frankensteiner. Rollins hits a pedigree and then has to contend with Austin Theory and Logan Paul. Comes back and gets speared for 2. And then Braun goes for that torpedo spear. That's what Michael Cole's calling it, at least. But it's countered into the pedigree. Seth goes for a super stomp, but gets speared and then eats the torpedo spear for the win. Now, this match just falls short of being great due to a lot of the botching and the sloppy spots. And I did feel like it went along a little too long. And this actually is the longest match on the card, which is crazy because Roman Reigns is on the show. But the match itself, I thought, was still pretty good. Braun is a future world champion. Seth is still great. It's a good match. Just it was just a lot of botching and mistimed spots that just stop it from being great.
Yeah,
any thoughts?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment totally. And I even gave it a little bit of leeway. Speaking of the match, though, Braun Breaker, he was impressive. He showed a lot of resilience to Seth, maybe a little bit too much resilience at times. I feel like there were a couple of times where, maybe even more than a couple of times, where Breaker would get hit with something and he popped up a little too quick. You know what I'm saying? He was coming off a little bit too Goldberg-esque here against somebody like Seth Rollins. I didn't care for that necessarily. I mean, Breaker doesn't need that to be a viable main eventer. He's got enough offense in himself to do that. Also, I didn't care for the attempted interference by the Vision at the end. Seeing as how the result, Braun Breaker wins. He beat Seth Rollins, great. But if he would have got a completely clean win over Seth Rollins, would have meant a lot more, I feel like. So I didn't care for the interference. But Slick Vic, as far as the gigawatts go, I gave this a 5. Build got 2, obviously. This has been building forever. And the recent stuff they've done has been really good. Quality, I gave it a little leeway in quality, 1.5. They did have a lot of botches. Memorable moments, unless you count botches, there were none, but I can count botches here, I guess. So that got a half. Emotion 0, result 1, 5 gigawatts. And Slick Vic, who did you pick to win this one?
Well, I'm so glad you asked because I chose Braun Breaker.
All right. Starting off Backlash on a good note is Slick Vic.
Oh, you're going to be hearing that sound a lot tonight, aren't you?
Just brag a
It's
little
good
bit.
shit, pal. That's such good shit, pals. Mr. Mosley, would you like to cover Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams?
Sure. Talk about this United States Championship rematch between Trick Williams, now the champion, versus Sami Zayn. So Sami comes out pretty aggressive, trying to get a few shots in pre-match, but he backs off after some chops to Trick in the corner for some reason. I thought that was weird. I thought he should have stayed on the gas because Trick takes over after he slows down there in the early going. And Sami has to take a break on the outside, but Trick comes after him. We can hear the crowd is heavily in favor of Trick and against Sami as they start chanting "Sami sucks" when Zayn gains the advantage back inside the ring. Trick turns it around with a high-jumping neck breaker and a string of offense that culminates with a bookend for a 2 count. Sami hits a sunset flip powerbomb in the corner for 2 and goes for a haluva kick, but gets kicked himself instead. He, however, manages to hit the Blue Thunder bomb for a 2 count, and every time he hits this is the universal sign for the guy's going to kick out at 2. Whenever Sami hits a Blue Thunder bomb. Sami fakes a knee injury to bait Trick into the roll-up pin for a 2 count. Then Lil Yachty attempts a distraction that goes nowhere, but sneaks in another distraction a few moments later and hits Sami with a kendo stick. Trick follows up with a spinning kick, but Sami kicks out at 2. Sami then goes out and beats up Lil Yachty, nails him with a haluva kick, then charges up a haluva kick in the ring on Trick. But Trick dodges, hits a trick shot, picks up the 3 count fall for the win. I thought Sami was great in the ring. You know, he's always great. Sami's great in the ring. He's great at selling. He's great at making his offense look good most of the time. You know, when he's doing those little stomps to people, those little quick stomps, those look fake as shit. But other than that, he does really well. But he is, watching this match, Vic, I couldn't help but think he just looks so outclassed here against Trick Williams. Trick looks like a proper United States champion here to me, whereas Sami just looks like old news. Again, great in the ring, but it's the same old underdog Sami Zayn. I don't care if people are calling him a heel now, whatever. To me, he's not fully turned until he changes drastically. He needs to change his look. He needs to change so much more about himself to be interesting. I'm just not at all interested in Sami Zayn, even though his matches are good. And unfortunately, that sort of even takes away from his in-ring talent when he's just such a slog everywhere else. Nonetheless, Slick Vic, I gave this match a 6 gigawatts, 2 for build, 2 for quality. Memorable moments got 0, emotion got 0, result got 2. Your thoughts?
You know, I thought this was better than their WrestleMania match. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the whole gingerbread stuff. I think Little Yachty gets a little too involved at times too. But like I said, you know, these guys are both competent workers. They do a decent job, and you know, I was fairly entertained. I mentioned at the top that I thought like every match ranged from good to great. This one falls a little bit. Is just decent. I wouldn't say good. It's serviceable, so to speak. So yeah, I'm glad Trick Williams won too, because Trick is on fire right now. But I'm over the gingerbread man, and let's move on. Before we move on, though,
totally agree.
I did choose Trick Williams to win this match, did I not?
I believe you did, Slick Vic, and for that, we're going to give you a Final Fantasy victory theme. All right, and Slick Vic, before we move on, if we can, let's take a quick pause for the cause. What do you say?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from that pause for the cause. Back here on Wrestling with Power to continue our coverage, our review of Backlash 2026. Up next is the tag team match between Kit Wilson and The Miz versus Danhausen and...
We find out that Danhausen's partner is Minihausen.
They're taking a lot from the old Austin Powers movies here. Slick Vic, you thought that it was going to be CM Punk, Royce Keys. Who else did you have? I'm just going from memory here.
Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll was on the list. There was like 5 different names that you had potentially.
And
ends
instead,
up being Minihausen.
Minihausen.
Side note, I did read that was actually El Torito in that outfit.
Was it really? No way.
That's what I read. Yeah, I read it was. Okay. I mean, you could tell from the match that the dude was like a skilled wrestler.
Yes, I have that in my notes for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, what happened, Slick Vic?
So is this silly and dumb? Yes. Did I have a good time with this? Yes. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm going to preface this with that. When I was watching this the first time, I was like, of all the possible tag team partners, they got a random Minihausen.
Yeah.
If they had put like CM Punk inside the Danhausen makeup, that would have actually made sense because, you know, he's cloning himself. It's good haha and bullshit. Anyways. But when you watch him go, he can go. He's obviously trained. He knew what he was doing. Plus, the Miz and Kit sold like $1 million for him. I still wish it was somebody like some of the people I predicted, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some fun with this one. When the Miz and Kit were on offense against Minihausen, they were hamming it up nicely. Kit Wilson throws Minihausen back into the cloning machine, and then a bunch of Minihausens come out, which probably should have been a DQ, but fine. Yeah. The Miz tries to use a fire extinguisher, but he's cursed, so it doesn't immediately work, and he ends up hosing himself and then Kit. And then Danhausen goes over when he pump kicks the Miz for the 3 count. As Michael Cole said, this is wrestling. So,
for better or for worse.
So again, I was entertained. What was it? Is this, Flair and Steamboat? No. Is this Undertaker and Shawn? No. But it was, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't entertained. So yeah. What about you, man? Were you entertained, or were you like, what's that smell?
Dookie. No, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I said this before, I'm glad that Danhausen is actually having matches and like kind of showing us what he can actually do in the ring. I think that I would have probably rather it just been someone else, like a surprise entrant, than Minihausen, and then, the cloning machine goes wild in the middle of the match. I guess the reason it wasn't a DQ is because technically they were all the same person. So, I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was, but yeah, it wasn't bad. El Torito, if that's who it was, and I've read everywhere that that's who it was, really good in the ring, actually. Did really well. Carried most of the match, actually, for the team Danhausen. But this was a comedic thing where, we get the comedy stuff of Danhausen, we get the ridiculousness of it, but we also kind of get to see what he can do in the ring, and what he pulls off is pretty impressive. So you got to give it to the guy. As far as the score, Slick Vic, I gave it a 6. 6 gigawatts. I think that's fair for this, maybe even more than fair. Build 1, quality 2. Quality was great. Like I said, I mean, I was really impressed by Minihausen. Memorable moments, 1. I mean, come on. That's 1 point. That doesn't mean there was one memorable moment, but you have the fact that it's a friggin' box that a clone of Danhausen comes out of. Then you have all the multiple Danhausens coming out, the fire extinguisher failing, and then Miz hitting himself with it. It's nothing but, skits. Emotion, there's no emotion here, really. I mean, it was funny, but other than that, didn't take you on much of a ride. Result got a 1. And so, that's it, 6 gigawatts. Slick Vic, who'd you pick to win this one?
Very nice, very evil tag team.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right, well, Slick Vic is on a roll, 3 for 3 so far for Backlash.
Wait a minute. Did you play any Final Fantasy fanfare there? Because if you did, I didn't hear it.
I did, I'm so sorry. I didn't have it. I played it, but it was on preview and not on live, so I apologize for that. My
Thank
bad.
you. All right. Go on with the next match then, Mr. Mosley.
All right, so the next match is a match that I was really not looking forward to. Asuka versus Io Sky. And I'll just go ahead and preface this by saying, you know, with Kairi being released or let go or decided not to continue, whatever the story was there, whatever happened, she was released. You mentioned it on the last week's episode, Slick Vic. It took a lot of the heat away from this angle, and they've been doing this angle for a very long time. So with her gone, I'm like, come on. Like, I'm actually glad that they continued it because it needed to end. So they couldn't just drop it and move on and go their separate ways. It needed to end. So I'm glad that they continued it, even though they didn't really make mention of the fact that Kairi was gone. They're just like, okay, we're going to have a match. This is going to be it. And there's a lot more to this. There ended up being a lot more to this than meets the eye on the surface. So Asuka versus Io Sky. I've got a few notes here, and I'll just go over them. Lots of back and forth grappling early on, which was nice. Some good old classic wrestling. I love that. It wasn't just, and this goes through the whole match. This wasn't just like a 7 or 8 minute Asuka doing all these dastardly heel things and Io struggling to come back, and then all of a sudden Io hits a move and she wins. It was like they were wrestling. This was a competition. This was something. It was very basic, but it was very refreshing to see. The crowd starts chanting, "We want Kairi," but honestly, that chant didn't last long. And no disrespect to Kairi, but I think that what happened here is that Asuka and Io started turning on the gas, and people started realizing we're seeing something here. Something's going on, because that's what the gears were turning in my head. I'm like, this isn't just a bathroom break match that I thought it was going to be. Like, something's going on here. And you realize after a few minutes, you're seeing a great match, a really great match. And then after like 10 minutes, you're like, wow, they've given these girls a lot of time. Something is going on here. Like, this means something. There's more aggressive back and forth, which leads to Asuka gaining the upper hand. She knocks Io off the apron, slams her head into the ring post. Asuka hits some attacks from the outside and uses the ropes for leverage on a couple of submission moves. Thought this was good heel work, even though, like I said just a moment ago, they're having a really great match. Asuka's still playing the heel. They continue the back and forth in the ring with bigger, more impactful moves, more impactful submissions, until eventually they work their way back outside again, and now they're on the announce table. Asuka tries to spit the poison mist in Io's face, but Io dodges it using Wade Barrett's notepad. Io dodges a kick from Asuka and trips her up face first on the announce desk. Then Io hits a couple flying attacks on Asuka before rolling her back in the ring to hit the over the moonsault for the win. So, I'm quickly summarizing this as best as I can, but I do want to say my additional notage for this particular match is that this was match of the night without a doubt, and likely will make its way into the running for my top matches of the year. These two had a throwdown like it was the last time they were ever going to be in the ring together, and from what we know now, it may well have been. Very, very good work. Slick Vic. Can't say enough about this. It's just something to watch. It's something that you almost can't explain. But after watching so many meaningless fucking matches for so long, to see this match play out. You don't even have to have anything explained to you. You can just watch it and be like, wow, like this is almost like a breath of fresh air. I gave this match an 8 gigawatts. 2 for build, 2 for quality, 1 point for memorable moments, because there was a couple moments in there that were definitely memorable. Obviously, the Poison Mist spot being probably number 1. The ending where they embraced, which didn't make a lot of sense. Asuka's been this dastardly heel trying to kill Io forever, bullying Kairi, but they threw all that out the window at the end, and they're embracing, and you're like, holy shit, what's happening? Is Asuka leaving? Is she done? Is this it? Seemingly so. Emotion got a 1 point. I'm not saying that it wasn't totally emotional, but there were some emotional moments here that I wasn't expecting. Again, this is a match I wasn't looking forward to, and it got me. I got excited. I got kind of sad at the end of it. I got kind of heated when Asuka was trying to do the heel tactics. I popped whenever she hit the Poison Mist, but Io ducked it or blocked it with the notebook. So it was all over the place. End result, obviously got a 2. The Right Woman won. 8 gigawatts for this match. Out of nowhere, if you will. Slick Vic, like to get your thoughts.
I'm pretty much in agreement. It's a lot of high praise you gave there, and I agree. Because despite the grumbles of the story with Kairi being gone, they couldn't just keep her an extra 2 weeks. But nonetheless, this was great. These two tore the house down. The match was back and forth. It was well paced. The crowd was really into it. And like you said, at the start they were chanting "We want Kairi," but later on they were chanting Io. They were chanting Io. So
yeah, that chant went away quick.
They really did bring the attention back to just those two competitors in the ring. Good stuff. I loved the blocked Poison Mist spot with Wade Barrett's notebook. I don't think it's ever happened before. That was fantastic. I popped hard for that.
Michael Cole goes, she used your notebook.
Yeah, that was, there were the Asuka locks, Io even used one on her. And yeah, it was a really good match. Check it out. I would also say it's the best match of the night, for sure.
Yeah.
Now
and
that
who'd you have going over in there?
Oh, I'm so glad you cut me off because I forgot to mention. I did choose Io Sky. Did I not?
Good call, Slick Vic. And yeah, this, like he said, go watch it. This was just a really good match. Like I've not seen a match in a while that I've just thought after the fact, you know what, I'm going to watch that again. That was something else. That's incredible. I'm going to watch that match again within the next couple of days because I'm giving it a lot of praise here. I got to go back and watch it just to make sure that I wasn't I wasn't even drinking libations during it, so I know I wasn't inebriated. But yeah, it was good. And knowing what we know now, knowing what we seemingly know now, it could have very well been the last match that these two have, possibly Asuka's last match in WWE or last match, period. We don't know for sure, but things are kind of leaning that direction, and that sort of changes the dynamic. I mean, we didn't know that going into this. We didn't know that during this match. So that didn't, sometimes when you know that going into a match, it'll add something to it that otherwise wouldn't have. I don't think that happened. I think that it did definitely season it a little bit on the end with that ending, but it didn't have an overall drastic changing of my perception of how good this match was. It was really good.
Okay, so that leads us to the main event of the evening for Backlash 2026 in Tampa, which is Jacob Fatu challenging Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. All right, so this match is all about Jacob slapping on that Tongan death grip. that move that was passed down from, generation to generation, but only supposed to be used when absolutely necessary. And
You're 1 on 8 at 3 in the morning in a bar fight.
So Jacob felt the need to whip it out on Roman today, and he did it a few times actually. So this was a fast-paced match, considering it's a Roman Reigns match. This was a shorter Roman Reigns match than most of them. Jacob got a lot of his shit in. Roman got his Superman punches in. There was a spot where Jacob even went for a swanton, but then Roman got his knees up. I swear, I think Roman even hurt his knees. Like, he was legit selling his knees.
Yeah.
And then the match ends though when let's see. Roman takes the turnbuckle off, hits Jacob face first with it, hits another spear, and wins. So I don't have a lot of notes for this match, but I remember it being pretty good. I remember a couple good near falls. Jacob got his fingers taped up to apply the Tongan death grip. Roman Reigns continues but it looks like this feud is going to continue. Roman Reigns continues his championship run, that is. Mr. Mosley, would you have any thoughts to chime in with?
Yeah, it was just, just to sort of echo what I've said about this entire feud before, it was rushed. I don't know why they felt the need to rush this so quickly when I just kind of feel like they could have put any other opponent in there for Roman to have for Backlash instead of Jacob, because there's so much there that they can build off of with Jacob that they haven't done leading up to this match. There's no reason why they can't continue to do it. We know by looking at like what transpired on Raw and going forward that it's probably going to continue at least for a little while, maybe to SummerSlam, who knows. But I think they jumped the gun here trying to get some kind of main event together for this show that they already had booked. They probably didn't have planned out too well. And this is what we got. So Slick Vic, I gave it a 5 gigawatts. That's right in the middle, and I was being generous, honestly. I was going to give it 4, but I sort of gave it a couple extra half points here and there. 1 for build, because I think they did do a good job in what little time they've had to build this match. Quality got a 1.5. I was generous. I didn't think it was overly a very good quality match, but like I said, trying to be a little bit generous here. It's the main event. Memorable moments, a half. Emotion got a half because honestly, I thought that Jacob was going to win this one. There was a little part of me that thought that Jacob was going to walk away with the win. And so there were a couple of moments where I was like, oh, here it comes. Like he might do it. But no. In the end, I think the right man won. Result got a 2, at least going forward. We don't exactly know how to predict the future or what's going to happen. I mentioned on the last episode that Roman's not scheduled for Night of Champions. Allegedly, he's not scheduled for any Raw dates in June, or at least the majority of them, which is surprising considering he was in the post-show to WrestleMania talking about how he was going to be around all summer. Well, apparently not. So we'll see how that goes, but I can't judge the future that I do not know. So I'm trying to be a little bit generous there and giving it a 5 gigawatts, but definitely not great. This was, I think, all things considered, I gave Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker a 5 gigawatts, but for different reasons. Seth Rollins and Braun was a better match. So that's not to say that these were one and the same. I think Seth Rollins and Braun was better overall, maybe just barely. U.S. title got a 6, and then, of course, Asuka and Io Sky stole the show. The tag match got a 6 for other reasons. But, it was about what I would expect it to be, which isn't saying a whole lot.
All right. Well, that was Backlash 2026 from Tampa.
Not yet.
Shall we? That's not yet.
Who'd you pick to win this one, Slick Vic? Slick Vic picked Roman Reigns to win this one, and amazingly, the crystal ball is at full power once again. Coming off a fairly successful WrestleMania, not a clean sweep for WrestleMania, but a fairly successful one, Slick Vic rides into Backlash and leaves it in the dust as, once again, Mr. Perfect. So he gets to hear the music.
Say that.
You get to hear the music again, Slick Vic. Hopefully the trend continues. And I'm here for it. The Super Nintendo track goes on. Wow. That's the first time I've listened to that far into the Super Nintendo version of that song. They did a really good job. Awesome.
Yes, they did.
That was Backlash, ladies and gentlemen. Slick Vic, shall we move on?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's talk about some Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw happened. Actually, I think I am a little bit ahead of myself here. What the hell date was Monday Night Raw? Do I got the wrong date?
May 11th.
I probably got the wrong date. No, I don't. I just put it in the wrong folder. My bad. All right, here we go. Monday Night Raw, Knoxville, Tennessee on May the 11th. And we start this one as we started the last Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns is rolling up. And Adam Pearce is there to meet him. He tells he's been thinking of firing Jacob Fatu due to his actions at Backlash. Roman says he brought him in, so he'll be the one to take him out. Roman also asks during this exchange where his title is, and Pearce has some lackey bring him the World Heavyweight Championship. Slick Vic, why wouldn't he just carry that championship wherever he goes? He has the friggin' WWE trucks to haul it around, and then he just gets it when he gets to the show. What kind of champion does this?
Maybe Jacob, took it with him to the back, and Roman never bothered picking it up.
Shameful. Shameful. From this, we go Paul Heyman, who's cutting a promo in the ring, and he's essentially ridding the vision of Seth Rollins. Street Profits come out. Logan Paul cuts a promo, but is interrupted by Joe Hendry, who starts singing Can We Fire Logan Paul, a song which has taken the world by storm over the past week, Slick Vic. And then we go to a commercial break. After the break, we have a match. The Vision versus the Street Profits and Joe Hendry. And, of course, this is a 3-on-3, so the Vision of Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker versus both Street Profits and Joe Hendry. So, not a lot of notes for this one. It was about what you expect. And when it comes to Raw these days, and I think and SmackDown for Slick Vic, there's not a lot of point in going over the match. Montez Ford picked up the roll-up pin after some interference by Seth Rollins. No surprises here. Slick Vic, your overall thoughts on this match, the Heyman promo, or the start to Raw?
I like the bit where Roman at the beginning says, you can't fire Jacob. He hasn't acknowledged me yet. And then Pierce looks at the camera like, I thought it was funny. Pierce's facials are always great. And then didn't Heyman say something about live from the inbred capital of East Tennessee or something like that?
He did, and I was going to make a note of that. And I didn't.
Bianca can't pay the bills anymore, which I thought was a fun line. And then Paul, can we fire Logan Paul?
Good stuff.
Serviceable 6-man tag match, but lots of freaking commercials. I watched this opening segment live. God damn. There was probably two like, 2 commercial breaks with, those 1 out of 8 ads that runs like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
Man, it's unbearable. I cannot watch this show live half the time anymore.
I feel
But
like
then,
you're echoing my sentiments of SmackDown a little bit here because, for me, Slick Vic, I don't take a lot of SmackDown notes, if any. Sometimes I don't take any SmackDown notes. I'll be transparent here because I like to watch the show and just watch it and take it in. And then when we come here to Wrestling with Power and Slick Vic goes over SmackDown, then I can think about everything that I was thinking during that time, and I just kind of tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I like that dynamic. So watching SmackDown was extra hard for me because of the commercial breaks. I wasn't worrying about taking notes. I wasn't sitting there super hyper focused on, it was just like, oh man, more commercials. So I feel you there.
All right. Yeah. And other than that, the only thing I have left to say is Rollins coming out at the end, out of nowhere, was good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, he interrupted Braun's run around the ring spear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Good shit. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not big on the Street Profits. It's weird to me, man. Like, okay, so the Street Profits are clearly the baby faces. The Vision's the heel. Naturally. This is, how things are. But the Street Profits continue to come out and attack them. So it's weird. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic in my mind. Let's move on. We get a silly backstage segment next between the OG El Grande and Dominic Mysterio that ends up with Adam Pearce making a match between the two later tonight for Dom's AAA Mega Championship. This is kind of big news. First time the AAA Mega Championship is going to be on the line on Monday Night Raw, and I think on WWE television, period. So, good shit. Up next, Penta and Ethan Page argue in the ring. Penta says he will defend his title tonight against Ethan Page, but Page says he's not ready to wrestle and suggests they do it in 2 weeks at Saturday night's main event. Rusev comes to the ring and says he's not cool with Ethan Page getting a title shot before him. Javon Evans comes out, Page shoves Evans into Rusev, and everyone starts fighting into commercial break. Okay, so individually, I can say good things about everybody here. Penta is Senior Monday Night. We've sung his praises until I'm almost sick of singing his praises. Ethan Page, new up-and-comer, big star in NXT. He's the total package. He's got everything he needs. Probably the next IC champion. Rusev, once great, now shit on. I'm still trying to champion Rusev's potential. And then Javon Evans, right? Javon is the new high-flying, cool thing to watch, always exciting. Everybody individually is good. But this is more of the same group hovering around the IC title. It's old. It's stale. This has been going on since before WrestleMania, leading into WrestleMania into the ladder match, and now we're still doing it. I would rather see a one-on-one feud over the championship, build a good feud, build a good build to a match for that title than just this same several people at once. So I'm already kind of over it, and I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it. So we go to a commercial break, like I said, after everyone starts fighting, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of a match, Rusev versus Javon Evans. So I note that the match should have been over, this is my opinion, after the Uranagi and the Machka kick that Rusev hit on Javon, but he kicks out at 2. Then he somehow gains the energy to hit a splash on Rusev to the outside. He follows it up by an OG cutter back in the ring and puts Rusev away with a 3-count fall. All right, so again, Rusev covered in diarrhea at this point. Slick Vic, what are your thoughts on this fiasco?
Well, I got that pendejo Ethan Page is really good on the mic. He's hilarious. He's very entertaining. He's got a bright future. Penta is always full of fire and passion when he speaks. Monday Night Penta, we like you said, we've been singing his praises forever. He's still great. Javon is bouncy. He's kind of the the young cool kid in town. Whatever. Rusev feels out of place. Rusev to me is just kind of like there. Like we gotta find a spot for Rusev. Let's just throw him in the mix here. Match itself, nothing special. I just didn't really care. There's no heat for me. I like you said, Rusev is just buried in the mix. Javon will probably, get some more featurement later, but he's young and he's got a lot of time to go.
After that, we get Asuka and Io backstage, and they're hugging. Asuka says she was looking for someone to take over her role, and that person is Io. They say goodbye, and Asuka leaves the arena. We're apparently going to learn more about Asuka's situation later tonight, so says Michael Cole. I don't think we learned anything. If we did, I missed it. I've learned everything off the internet since then, so. Anyway, this was kind of weird, Slick Vic. Let's talk about it for a minute. How wild it is that Asuka was basically trying to murder Io. She was bullying Kairi every week and being just generally a crazy kabuki warrior, for lack of a better term, all for her to turn face because no reason in particular. And she's telling Io that she was looking for somebody to take her role. What? She was looking for somebody to bully other people? She was looking for somebody to be a dastardly heel, as I like to say. What was she looking for? And she found it in Io, sweet-faced Io? What is this about, Slick Vic?
Well, I'm just going to echo Michael Cole's sentiments from the Danhausen match the previous night. This is wrestling.
This is wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. And this is wrestling with power. And as such, we're going to move on to another match here on Monday Night Raw. Io Sky versus Sol Ruka. Okay, so I felt weird about this one. Why are they putting Sol Ruka against Io? Two baby faces going against each other. Sol Ruka, she's up on the main roster, and they're going to put her against who they've poised as one of her main top, women's division competitors here. I don't know. I don't know if it was a good pairing. And honestly, watching the match, it seemed like it was a little bit of an odd pairing. Io works really well. I know a lot of people sing Io's praises. I'm just going to say this. Io works really well against people her same size or people who work her same style. The match with Asuka, fantastic. 8 gigawatts, I gave it. Anytime that Io is working against somebody who works a similar style to her or is in similar stature to her, great match. Anytime that Io works against somebody who is significantly bigger than her or works a significantly different style, I think that it's sort of obvious. It sort of cuts through your sense of disbelief a little bit. So take that for what you will. But anyway, Io Sky versus Sol Ruka. End of the match, Io avoids the Soul Snatcher and turns it into a roll-up pin for the win. Yeah, okay. Good match, though. I thought it was pretty good, everything considering. Sol didn't lose anything by taking a loss here. I think the way that she lost, she didn't really lose anything. And she had a good showing with one of the top-tier women in the division, the two embrace at the end. I sort of wish Sol had kicked her in the crotch or something at the end just to spice it up a little bit, but that didn't happen. It was just, good sportsmanship. I don't like good sportsmanship in my wrestling. And that was it. After that, backstage, Jay Uso is waiting for Jacob to arrive out in the parking area. Jimmy Uso shows up and says he talked to Roman and he thinks sometime the OTC is delusional. Jay tells him to remember they are here because of their family. Then Jimmy says he's going to go hang out with Roman and tells Jay good luck with Jacob. Wow. Okay. So they're just leaving poor Jey Uso out to fend for himself out here, waiting on crazy-ass Jacob Fatu in the parking lot. It's not going to end well. We can see this is not going to end well. Slick Vic, let me get your thoughts before we move on, please.
You know, when I found out that Io Sky was facing Sol Ruca, and I was like, oof. You got Io coming off a very big win the 2 nights before. And then you got Sol Ruca, who's positioned to be the next big thing in the women's division. Like, who's going to go over? And they did a good job, though, with the ending there, because they made, because Io went over while still making it look like it was a lucky win. So it didn't make it didn't hurt Sol Ruca that much. I thought that was nicely booked. Match itself was decent.
Agreed.
Sol's got a fantastic corkscrew splash. And then the Usos. So, yeah. I mean, I'm entertained by the Usos, but okay, we're just gonna have Jay just hang out in the parking lot, maybe by catering while he waits. Actually, but okay. I got nothing else to add.
Okay. Yeah, my thoughts exactly, Slick Vic. Up next, we have the Oba Femi Open Challenge. So this is interesting. This is week 2 of the Oba Femi Open Challenge. And this week, we find out that nobody is willing to accept the challenge. So Adam Pearce comes out and says the match is canceled. But Oba don't accept this. He marches backstage. He finds and attacks 2 jabronis, who we find out is Los Garza. Then drags them out to the ring. The bell rings. Oba crushes them. The end. Oba wins. Side note, I believe there was a tweet or something to that effect from one of the members of Los Garza that was like a thank you and we'll see you later. I don't know if they've got future endeavored or this was like they were leaving the company, so this was their exit. But that was, if it is, that's hilarious. Moving on from that, Finn Balor. So, backstage, JD McDonough and Dom are walking out, apparently, to the ring. And Finn Balor pops out of nowhere and takes out JD. He tells Dom, well, I guess you're going to have to fend for yourself tonight. Then we have the AAA Mega Championship match. And I was really excited about this from Slick Vic. Dominic Mysterio, the champion, taking on OGL Grande Americano. I honestly thought we were going to see something special here. There's a match coming up at Triple Mania. Not Triple Mania, but I don't remember the name of the thing. It's like Grande something. I don't remember what the name of it is. There's a show coming up in AAA where it's going to be mask versus mask. OGL Grande versus New El Grande. Mask versus mask match. And I thought, this is a perfect way to up the ante in this match a little bit. Have OG El Grande Americano win the title, makes for a huge moment on Raw. And then, of course, the title will be on the line in their match. Well, that doesn't happen because the new El Grande Americano shows up, and his goons interfere, allowing Dom to hit a 619 and a frog splash to pick up the win and retain the championship. I note expected and lame result. And I'll reiterate, this would have been better to go the other way, especially going into the mask versus mask match. All right, so let's finish this up, Slick Vic, with the main event. Once again, the main event isn't a match. It's just an in-ring segment. Roman comes out with Jimmy Uso by his side. We see Jacob arrive in the back. Jay is walking, trying to talk him down the entire way. They make it to Gorilla before Jacob snaps and beats up Jey Uso, then heads out to the ring, meets Jimmy on the stage, beats him up. Then Jacob finally gets in the ring, fights with Roman, knocks him out of the ring. Jacob goes for a dive to Reigns on the outside, but Roman catches him with a Superman punch. Roman grabs a chair from under the ring and whacks Jacob a few times with it. Doesn't keep him down. Jacob gets up and gets the tongue and death grip on Reigns, throws him out of the ring again. Then he throws him very gently, I note, into the ringside steps, then clears the announce table. Roman hits a Superman punch, but Jacob recovers and gets the tongue and death grip again on Roman, then powerbombs him through the announce table. Jacob chokes out Roman some more while security tries to pull him away. Then he gets in the ring, he licks the World Heavyweight title, then takes off running and crashes through Roman and the Usos through the ringside barricade into the Timekeeper's area to end the show. I need to take a breath after that one. Slick Vic, your thoughts? I don't know what I've covered since then. I think it's everything since the Sol Ruca match. So, the Obafemi Open Challenge, the Finn Balor, the Mega Championship match, and then the ending segment.
So, with the whole Obafemi thing, why would anyone want to accept this challenge? This man just beat Brock Lesnar in very dominating fashion. He's just like, which one of y'all wants to face me next and get obliterated? That's what it comes off to me like.
Yeah.
I'll wait for an actual challenger because like last week it was Otis and Akira Tozawa, and this week it's Los Garza. I don't know how many more weeks there's going to be, joke answers before an actual challenger comes in, and I don't even know who would be an actual person you can have that match with.
Good point, man. Good point. I mean, this
tough
wasn't
to find to match that
this
level.
was a, yeah, I mean, and to echo some of the sentiments, this we've been going on over and over with this, with SmackDown, with Raw this week. These stories, they don't make sense. They're going nowhere. And the Obafemi Open Challenge is just another one of those stories that's like going nowhere. Who is going to challenge him? It's just like what you said. Who is going to step up to the challenge? Nobody, because they don't want to get slammed and destroyed.
I mean, he just be like I said, like it's tough to find that level of caliber of an opponent like after he just beat Brock Lesnar. I mean, the dude might stand a chance, but
well, dude,
I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know?
Should send Mr. Lebowski after Obafemi. Anyways, the Dom and Americana match, okay, it's all right. There's that one. There was that one spot where like Dom like launched Chad up in the air, and then Chad like lands like head first on the post. That looked really good. But this is all about the Americanos. There's a whole lot of Americanos, including the Americanos Hermanos. So I'm checked out of it. I've been checked out of the storyline for a while. I hear it's actually really good in Mexico in AAA. But here on Raw, I couldn't care. I couldn't care much. I don't care much. Lastly, the main event stuff with Jacob Fatu.
This is the cinnamon everywhere, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess they're going to keep this feud going, which is fine, I guess. I imagine they're going to have a match, a Samoan street fight match or something coming up soon. So we'll see. Yeah. Tongue and death grips. But that spot at the end where Jacob like ran through all of them through the barricade, that was good. Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So it ends climactically, we'll say. But, I will reiterate. I think they're grasping at straws here a little bit, Slick Vic. This has been such a hard week to follow in WWE and get excited about and be excited about anything going forward. And I hate to say it, man, but my entire sentiment right now for WWE is everything sucks. People are getting released. People are leaving. The stories suck. The main event of SmackDown is the funeral of the gingerbread man. The main event of Raw is just an in-ring segment of Roman and Jacob. Jacob kicking Roman's ass again, still. That was the story for 2 weeks leading up to Backlash, and now we're still doing it. So, did Backlash matter at all? No, I don't think so. I think that Backlash mattered for one reason, and that was Io Sky versus Asuka. And I think when anybody looks back on that, any match, any moment from that show, that match is going to be what they look back on. It's the only reason that is going to be replayed whatsoever. And it's sort of disheartening in a way because, you want to look forward to these things. You want to look forward to what's happening, but now it's to the point to where not even the stories are making a whole lot of sense. So, I don't know, Slick Vic. Tough times. Tough times. But I can say that WWE television might not be good, but here's the deal. You don't have to watch it. All you have to do is tune in to Wrestling with Power. We'll tell you what's happening. Don't give TKO your money. Just give us your attention. We're not even asking for your dollars. We're just asking for your attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I deserve to clap for that. All right, Slick Vic.
do.
Well, that was Monday Night Raw, and you know what? I hate to say it, but I think that's the end of the show. We are a couple of weeks away from, I think, what is the next event? There's a Saturday night's main event coming up. There's a Clash in Italy coming up, the first ever PLE in Italy, which is really cool. I've been to Italy. It's really nice. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. That should be good. Crowd should be good. But, beyond that, let's just hope things get better. And like I said, we'll cover it here on Wrestling with Power for all you guys. If you miss WWE through the week, we're here to cover it for you. And you know where to find us. If you don't know where to find us, just find us. Just search up Wrestling with Power. Just Google Wrestling with Power. I think we own the majority market share on that term these days. And you'll find us somewhere. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. And Slick Vic, I know you're there and I'm here, and I just want to say, everybody, stay powerful.
Cody Rhodes says it himself. We're not hard to find. But, we're hard to beat too, because we're pretty good. We ain't like,
we're hard to beat.
We're not Dookie here. Dookie.
We're not. What's that smell?
That smell. All right.
A good old-fashioned saying around these parts that I like to reiterate every once in a while, Slick Vic. I don't know if you ever heard this one. It's a good one. We're kind of like a we're kind of like a sore pecker. We're hard to beat.
There's only one part that's soft on us. It's soft. to quote Road Warrior Hawk.
Soft all the time. If you catch my meaning.
All right, enough of that horse shit. I just want to tell you all.
Yeah, just YouTube. Road Warriors threatened to rape Ric Flair.
Yeah. And after you do that, I want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
See you later, everybody.